What is a tariff? A tariff is a tax or duty that a government places on goods across international borders. While tariffs most commonly refer to taxes on imported goods, some countries impose tariffs or duties on exported goods, affecting global supply chains and prices. Import tariffs, taxes placed on goods brought into a country. Export tariffs, taxes on goods sold to buyers in other countries, exported out of a country. How tariffs affect prices. Increased cost to suppliers. If a government imposes a tariff on exported products, the products leaving a country, the companies exporting them must pay an additional fee or tax. This extra cost is often passed along to the importers or buyers in the destination country. As a result, to maintain their profit margin, manufacturers or exporters typically increase their prices to offset the tariff expense. Reduced price competitiveness. Once a product has a tariff added to its cost, it may become more expensive than similar products without a tariff or similar treatments, e.g., a domestically produced alternative or an alternative from another country with a more favorable trade agreement. The resulting higher price can reduce the competitiveness of that product in the global market. Potential supply chain adjustments. Manufacturers may respond to tariffs by relocating some of their production or distribution centers to countries with lower or no tariffs. Alternatively, companies might negotiate bulk deals, seek exemptions, or engage in other cost-saving measures to reduce the impact of tariffs on their end customers. If veterinary products or medications manufactured outside the United States are affected by tariffs, the increased costs could impact both suppliers and consumers in the companion animal healthcare market. Here's an example of how this could play out. Examples of veterinary products potentially affected by tariffs. 1. Flea and tick medications. Products such as Bravecto, Fluorolaner, NexGard, Afoxolaner, or Frontline, Fipronil, are widely used for parasite prevention in dogs and cats. Many active ingredients or the final products themselves are manufactured outside the United States. 2. Antibiotics and antimicrobials. Medications like amoxicillin clavulanic acid, used for bacterial infections, and doxycycline, common for tick-borne diseases, may be imported from countries like China or India, where pharmaceutical manufacturing is cost-effective. 3. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, medications such as meloxicam and carprofen, are used to manage pain and inflammation in pets. If manufactured abroad, tariffs could increase their prices. 4. Vaccines. Certain vaccines for rabies, distemper, or feline leukemia may include components or final products sourced from international manufacturers. 5. Specialty diets or nutraceuticals. Therapeutic diets for conditions such as kidney disease or allergies, and supplements like glucosamine or omega-3 fatty acids are sometimes produced in foreign countries. Tariffs could drive up costs for pet owners relying on these products. Impact of tariffs on companion animal care. 1. Increased costs for veterinarians and pet owners. Veterinary clinics may face higher wholesale prices due to tariffs, which could be passed on to pet owners. This might lead to reduced access to necessary treatments. 2. Potential shifts in product availability. Companies may prioritize local manufacturing or seek alternative suppliers to avoid tariffs, potentially causing delays in product availability. 3. Impact on pet health. Higher costs could result in some pet owners delaying or forgoing treatment, potentially affecting overall pet welfare. The veterinary industry, veterinarians, and pet owners would all need to adapt to these changes, possibly through sourcing alternative products or exploring cost-effective measures. Examples of veterinary medications affected by tariffs implemented by the Trump administration. 1. Pimobendan, Vetmedin, manufacturer origin Boehringer Ingelheim, Germany. Use, treatment of congestive heart failure in dogs, DCM, and mitral valve disease. 2. Carprofen, Rimadyl, manufacturer origin Pfizer Animal Health USA, but often imported raw materials. Use, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug NSAID for pain management in dogs. 3. Apoquel, oclacitinib, manufacturer origin Zoetis USA. Use, management of allergic dermatitis and pruritus in dogs. 4. Clindamycin hydrochloride, anti-robe, manufacturer origin multiple international sources. Use, antibiotic for bacterial infections in pets. 5. Fluorolaner, Bravecto, manufacturer origin Merck Animal Health, Germany. Use: flea and tick prevention in dogs and cats. 6. Meloxicam, Metacam. Manufacturer origin Boehringer Ingelheim, Germany. Use: an SAID for pain and inflammation in pets, especially for osteoarthritis. 7. Imidacide melarsoline dihydrochloride, Mariel, now Boehringer Ingelheim, France. Use: treatment of heartworm disease in dogs. 8. Enrofloxacin Baytril, manufacturer origin Bayer Animal Health, Germany. Broad spectrum antibiotic for bacterial infections in pets. 9. Lufenuron program, manufacturer origin Novartis Animal Health, Switzerland. Use: flea prevention in dogs and cats. 10. Phyrocoxib Previcox, manufacturer Mariel, now Boehringer Ingelheim, USA. Use: an NSAID for pain management in dogs, especially for osteoarthritis. These tariffs could increase the costs of these and similar medications due to higher import fees on raw materials or finished products. The changes may affect veterinary practices and pet owners through increased expenses. The veterinary products mentioned earlier, manufactured primarily outside the United States, would be subject to higher prices in countries that impose tariffs on them as imported items. However, if the exporting country imposes a tariff, the effect can be similar because the exporter may raise the export price to compensate. Here's a simplified example scenario. Manufacturing in Mexico, a pharmaceutical company in Mexico produces Pimobendan, a heart medication for dogs. Export tariff imposed by Mexico. Mexico has implemented a 10% export tariff on every package of Pimobendan shipped overseas based on its declared value. Price increase for overseas buyers. To compensate for the 10% export tariff, the manufacturer-exporter raises the export price by approximately 10%. This means importers in the destination market, e.g. the United States, must pay a higher price for the medication. End consumer, veterinary clinic, or pet owner pays more. Importers, such as wholesalers or distributors in the U.S., incorporate their profit margins when selling the product to veterinary clinics. Ultimately, this leads to a price increase for pet owners purchasing Pimobendan for their dogs. If the Trump administration imposes tariffs on a wide range of imported goods, particularly from China, it will impact numerous industries in the United States. One often overlooked area is the veterinary pharmaceutical industry. Many veterinary drugs or their active pharmaceutical ingredients are manufactured abroad, so tariffs on these imported products and ingredients increase costs. Higher production and import costs translate into higher pet medication and treatment retail prices. Elevated veterinary care costs can place a heavy financial burden on pet owners, increasing the likelihood that some owners may surrender their pets to shelters or choose less humane options, including convenience euthanasia. Here is a step-by-step explanation of how tariffs can affect veterinary drug prices and lead to an increase in homeless pets and euthanasia. 1. Reliance on imported ingredients. Active pharmaceutical ingredients, APIs. Many raw materials and APIs used to produce veterinary medications originate overseas. China, for instance, is a primary global source of APIs for both human and veterinary drugs. When tariffs are applied to these imports, the immediate effect is an increase in the cost of those materials for U.S.-based drug manufacturers. Finished products. Certain veterinary drugs are also produced abroad. These finished products face higher import costs, which must be passed along the supply chain. Increased manufacturing and distribution costs. 1. Higher cost reduction. With tariffs raising the costs of imported APIs, packaging, or other components, domestic pharmaceutical companies must spend more to produce the same medications. These higher production costs translate directly into higher wholesale and retail prices for veterinary drugs. 2. Supply chain disruptions. Tariffs can lead to retaliatory actions from trading partners, creating uncertainty in trade relations. This often forces companies to seek alternative suppliers, which may not be as cost-effective or reliable. Such disruptions can result in shortages of critical components, leading to limited availability of medications. In turn, this scarcity drives up prices due to increased demand for a reduced supply. 3. Transportation and logistics. Trade tensions associated with tariffs often lead to higher shipping and logistics costs, whether due to rerouting, delayed shipments, or increased fuel prices. These added costs compound the overall expense of importing APIs and finished products, and manufacturers typically pass these costs down to veterinary clinics and consumers. Rising retail prices for pet owners. 1. Markup by veterinary clinics. Veterinary clinics and pharmacies must offset the increased procurement costs caused by tariffs. To maintain their profit margins, clinics are compelled to raise the prices they charge for both medications and related veterinary services. 2. Pet medication expenses. Medications essential to pet health, such as heartworm preventatives, flea and tick treatments, insulin for diabetic pets, prescription diets, and other specialized treatments, become more expensive due to higher production and import costs. This rise in medication prices directly increases the financial burden on pet owners, making it more difficult for some to afford necessary care for their pets. Financial strain on pet owners. 1. Limited disposable income. Many households operate within strict financial constraints. When veterinary costs unexpectedly rise due to increased drug prices, pet owners may be forced to make tough decisions. Skipping or delaying preventive care, such as vaccinations or regular checkups, can lead to more severe health issues for pets, which are often costlier to treat. 2. Delayed or avoided treatments. High prices for medications and treatments may discourage pet owners from seeking timely care for their pets. This delay can result in worsening health conditions that require even more intensive and expensive interventions. In acute or life-threatening cases, owners who cannot afford necessary treatments might resort to surrendering their pets to shelters or, in some cases, opting for euthanasia as a last resort. Impact on pet homelessness and euthanasia. 1. More surrendered pets. As veterinary healthcare costs rise, animal shelters often experience an influx of surrendered pets. Owners struggling with the financial burden of providing essential treatments, medications, or ongoing care may feel they have no choice but to give up their animals. Shelters, already operating on limited resources, face increased strain due to the higher number of incoming pets needing care and housing. 2. Convenience euthanasia. Faced with severe and expensive medical conditions, some pet owners may opt for euthanasia rather than pursuing long-term treatments they cannot afford. While this is often a heartbreaking decision, the financial strain caused by rising veterinary costs can leave some owners feeling they have no other viable option, leading to a rise in convenience euthanasia. Overburdened shelters. 1. Increased operating costs and capacity strains. Shelters experiencing a surge in surrendered animals face significant operational challenges. Feeding, housing, and providing medical care for the additional pets require more resources, stretching already tight budgets. Limited space and staff make it difficult to accommodate the rising number of animals, leading to overcrowded conditions that can negatively impact animal welfare. 2. Higher euthanasia rates. Overcrowding often forces shelters to make difficult decisions, including resorting to euthanasia at higher rates. Without sufficient capacity, foster homes or adoptive families, shelters struggle to rehome animals quickly, increasing the likelihood of euthanasia for unadopted pets. This creates a tragic cycle where rising veterinary costs indirectly contribute to increased shelter euthanasia rates. Long-term consequences. Public health concerns. Reduced access to necessary veterinary drugs can lead to less robust disease control, e.g., rabies, heartworm. Stray or relinquished pets with untreated conditions pose a risk not only to other animals, but also in some instances to humans. Higher shelter costs. Shelters bear the financial burden of veterinary care for surrendered animals. If the costs continue to rise, some shelters might cut back on services or be forced to euthanize more animals due to limited resources. Emotional toll. Financial stress can cause many pet owners emotional distress when deciding about a pet's care. In the long run, this can discourage individuals from future pet ownership, further impacting shelter populations and adoption rates. Tariffs on imported goods can ripple through the supply chain, increasing the cost of veterinary drugs and treatments. As a result, some pet owners, faced with mounting veterinary bills, may relinquish their pets or resort to euthanasia instead of costly medical care. This dynamic can contribute to a rise in homeless pets, placing additional strain on shelters and rescue organizations. Ultimately, it highlights the interconnectedness of trade policy, domestic industries, and social outcomes such as pet homelessness and euthanasia rates. Please like or comment on our video if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe for more educational content about pet health and veterinary medicine.